You're actually required to work full-time with very horrible pay, and as you go higher, your pay also goes higher. You can work anywhere and everywhere that requires the service of a medical officer. You need to decide if you want JAPA or stay. The typical pay for medical officers ranges anywhere between
Nobody can tell me that God is not patient. 'Cause God with you, He took His time.
Hi, my name is Zara, a medical doctor in her late 20s. My early 20s were wasted in medical school. Wait, scratch that. They were not, because now I'm an accomplished medical doctor. Is it your story? A content creator, and over the years, I have helped spotlight Nigerian medical school while helping aspiring medical students here on YouTube. Because over 6 years ago, we were largely underrepresented. Check the records. Well, this video is not about that. It's about everything they don't tell you after medical school. While I was in medical school, a lot of my senior colleagues who had become graduates and now practicing medical doctors would say that medical school does not prepare you for life after medical school. It's been 2 years plus post graduation, and I have come to find this true. I'll be doing you a great disservice, especially if you're still in medical school, if I don't make this video. I have split this video into two parts: the practice of medicine and life itself. Straight out of a Nigerian medical school, you're required to do a 1 year compulsory. They tell you, oh, it's not compulsory, it's necessary. It is compulsory 1 year housemanship program in an approved or accredited hospital. It could be federal, it could be state, it could be private, it could be any of the armed forces. Straight out of medical school, you do a provisional registration and you're given a provisional license. This allows you to get your housemanship done within 2 years. After 2 years, I really don't know what is going to happen to you, and I'm sure you don't want to find out. After you're done with your housemanship program, then you apply for your full registration and your permanent license. Now, house job is the ghetto. I know, you know, some of you have experienced that. It's also the time where you feel like, oh, that you have arrived as a doctor, you're earning small money, you can comfortably live a life that you do not necessarily live while you were in medical school. For some people, you have good money. The pay is not bad at all. It's not the best, but it's better than the years after. I promise you. I have a couple of videos talking about my house job experience. I did a couple of vlogs during housemanship, and I have it in a playlist I'm going to link up here and also in the description box. I also have about 2 dedicated videos where I sit down and tell you about house job, so you should also watch that. After house job, the next thing is NYSC. If you want to practice medicine in Nigeria and have a specialty, do your residency, you need this. You need this next step. If you know that you don't have any plans of leaving Nigeria, you need to do your NYSC so that you could start residency in Nigeria. In my own opinion, nobody asks for, so I'm going to keep it to myself. I'm going to keep my opinion about NYSC to myself, at least for the time being. But yeah, after spending 6+ years in school, 1 year of house job, you still need to spend 1 more year doing your NYSC, do the maths. And this time, the little that I know, can be quite frustrating because sometimes you're required to work, sometimes you're actually required to work full time with very horrible pay. When I say very horrible, I mean lower than what you earn a house job. About 50% or less. 50% is even a good amount of house job money. 30% or less of what you earned as a house officer, that's what you're going to earn during NYSC. Yes. And sometimes, most times, you're required to work full time where you're being posted and the money is not, money. A lot of people during this time also work in other places and they do locum on days that they are free and also have other places that they work depending on what their schedule looks like. That's that about NYSC. I really don't want to stress so much on that. Now let's talk about the years after. The years after house job, the years after NYSC. A lot of decisions that you've probably made during your NYSC year or your house job year, you see them come to play during the years after. You need to decide if you want to JAPA or stay. That's a very critical and important decision. And you need to decide that early enough. I'm talking as early as house job, as early as NYSC. But it's fine if you are just realizing it after 5 years of being a doctor that you don't want to stay, you want to japa, or you want to stay and you want to go into residency. Any time that you wake up, that is your morning. So if you're just realizing it now, after many years, that is still fine. You're not on anybody's timeline, you're on your own timeline. But if I was to advise anyone who is still doing their house job or still in medical school, you have to make this decision at least during house job or after house job. It makes the process faster and easier. I would explain. I'll start with JAPA and then I'll move to stay. So if you want to JAPA, there are a lot of for international audience who don't know what JAPA means. JAPA is when you leave your current country where you reside and where you're a citizen to another country seeking, well, people live for different reasons. It could be greener pastures, it could be better pay, it could be better residency programs, better knowledge, better, they're looking for better skill, to sharpen their medical skills. So people live for different reasons, okay? But the most common one in Nigeria is they live for better pay. Yeah, let's be honest with ourselves. So whatever reason it is that you decide to JAPA, that is fine. So there are a couple of options that you have for JAPA. In fact, the sky is your limit. You can go anywhere, any country that you want to go, right? So the first thing I would advise anyone to, if you're watching this video, if you come across this video and you're not yet in medical school, I want you to go and check if the school that you're applying to or the school that you aspire to be to study medicine in is in the medical school journal or in a journal for medical schools. I can't remember the exact name. I will leave it on the screen and I'll also leave the link in the description box. Basically, it is a world journal or dictionary where you can find accredited medical school or medical schools that are accepted worldwide. There are a couple of them from Nigeria. You have to check if your school is in this list, or if not, I mean, it could impact a lot of things, meaning that some countries will not accept your medical degree if it's not, if your school is not in this website, if your school cannot be found on this website, it means that they cannot trust your medical degree. I know that it's something that can be updated over time, but it's best to pick one that's already in the journal, especially if your plan is to leave Nigeria when you're done with medical school. Okay, so you have to make sure that your school, your institution is part of the list in this world medical school list. Yeah, it's not just a Nigerian thing, it's the entire world, accredited medical school in the entire world. Okay, so that's the first thing you want to find out before you even begin your journey. If your school is in the world, this website, right? If your school is there, then I mean, you can go ahead and continue your plans. So there are a couple of places you can go to. There are ones that are popular in Nigeria that you hear them talk about every single time, and that is the USMLE and now the UKMLE. That's PLA. So that's the US pathway and the UK pathway. The other pathways that are somewhat common in Nigeria, for example, the Canadian pathway and the Australian pathway, the AMT exam. These are not as common as the UKMLE and USMLE, but people still write these exams to go out. Another one is the Ireland pathway. It's similar to the UK pathway. These are the common pathways in Nigeria. There are other pathways also. I know some from, I don't know like in detail, but I've heard going to Asian countries, even going to countries within Africa, like South Africa, Ghana, places like that, just because they want to leave. Like I said, your reason for leaving the country should also determine where you leave to. If you're just leaving to leave, some people can choose anywhere, honestly, even if it's still in Africa. If you're leaving for training, some people now go to these popular places. If you're leaving for better pay, just depending on your reason for leaving, right? Decide the exam that you want to take. It can be quite pricey. That is why it's important that you make the decision very fast. No pathway is cheap. Even the one that they say, oh, is the cheapest, it can be quite pricey, quite expensive because of the exchange rate and stuff like that. So it's important that you make your decision fast so you can start saving money. And the best time to do this, I want to say house job here, but the truth is that a lot of times that money will save you. Okay, that money will save you during your house job year. Most people take on multiple jobs after house job to be able to write these exams. Okay, so it's very important that you make the decision on time. Now, I don't want to stress so much on JAPA because I feel like there are a lot of informations out here on YouTube, on TikTok and everything. I want to focus now on, if you decide to stay in Nigeria, you have a couple of options. So after NYSC, there are two options that you have. Is either you choose to specialize or you choose not to. It's either you go into a residency program or you remain a medical officer. As a medical officer, you're a GP. They call them GPs. I don't know why, but GPs actually is a specialty on its own, right? But yes, you're a medical officer, and basically you can work anywhere and everywhere that requires the service of a medical officer. There are also grades and levels to being a medical officer. Can be a senior medical officer, a chief medical officer, etc. So you could work in federal institution, state institutions, or private institutions as a medical officer, right? And as you go higher, your pay also goes higher. Okay. The typical pay for medical officers ranges anywhere between 300 to 500, depending on the workload, right? And also depending on the states. I know some states pay lower, some states may even pay higher than that. Okay, so that's like the general pay. I know I did not touch on the previous one. So as a house officer, you earn about, when I was leaving, it was increased. So you earn about 280 to, I don't know, maybe 350 at most, depending on where you're working. Right now, I think Lagos State pays more than any other place. I'm not sure. Go do your research, go do your findings, but I think so. Doing house job, before it became that price, before the money was increased, Lagos State paid higher than federal because they had a number of like incentives aside the general house job salary, right? Then as a copper, you're being paid the general 77K by the government, and depending on where you work, you're going to earn from 50 to 100K. I haven't seen a situation where it exceeds 100,000 naira in a month at your primary place of assignment. So give or take, your take home is less than 200 in total from NYSC, both where you're working and where the money that NYSC is going to pay you. So you're earning anywhere between 77K, because some places may not actually pay you, right? 77K to 180, 177,000 naira, to be honest. That's like the best that I have seen. Okay. So now medical officer, you know how much they earn. Decide to do residency, you have to decide what specialty you want to specialize in. Specialty you want to specialize in. So there are a couple of them. There's internal medicine, where you have your nephrology, gastroenterology, neurology, pulmonology, cardiology, etc. You have your surgery, where you have general surgery, urology, neurosurgery, cardiothoracic, etc. You have pediatrics. In pediatrics, there are also specialties like that you see in internal medicine. So pediatric cardiologist, pediatric nephrologist, pediatric neurologist. And finally, okay, not finally, then you have O&G. And then you have like other specialties like anesthesiology, radiology, family medicine, and a couple of them like that, right? So you have to decide what pathway you want to go into. I saw something going around TikTok at some point about how to choose your specialties, but I don't think that works all the time. You just have to ask yourself certain questions. What do you prioritize most? Do you actually love medicine, that it's medicine or nothing? Do you love kids? Do you love women? Do you love internal medicine? Do you love using your hands? Do you love surgery? Do you love like using your eyes, radiology? Do you just like to chill? You just do your work and you chill, and other people do your work, like anesthesiology. Like, just ask yourself certain questions, right? So yeah. So when you decide what specialty you want to go to, you have to write an exam, whether it's a national exam or the West African exam for that specialty. Like, so it could be national, it could be national meaning Nigerian, it could be West Africa meaning the WACSC or WAPC. I would find the real names of these things and I will leave them here. I'll also leave the website in case you want to just, help yourself and go through it, right? And yeah, when you decide, you have to write the exam. You have to write your primaries. It's called primaries. You have to write your primaries. When you're done writing your primaries, if you scale through, you pass the primaries for the specialty or the department that you want to specialize in, then you start, applying or looking for where to apply to start your residency program. And during the course of your residency program, you'll be taking a couple of exams to move from one like level to the other. In Nigeria, it's called SRs and JLs, senior registrars, junior registrars. Sometimes they just say registrars. So when you say registrars, you're talking to junior registrars and then senior registrars. So you move up like that till you become a consultant. You write your exam and you become a fellow. Actually, you first become a fellow. Now you become a consultant when you have an appointment letter to a specific hospital. You then become a consultant. But you're first a resident, registrar, then you become a senior registrar after you pass your part one exam for that specialty that you are in. Then you write your part two exams. You become a fellow when you pass your part two exam. And when you're given an appointment letter, you become a consultant. So there are other areas in these places that I have not touched on. The other things you do as a registrar, obviously, that is that about staying in Nigeria and becoming a resident in Nigeria. Now, other parts of life that they don't tell you about in medical school, they don't teach you. I don't think any faculty teaches this, honestly. They don't teach us anything in uni aside studying, honestly. Finances, they don't teach you how to manage your finances. They don't teach you how to do other things outside medicine, right? I love my generation. I don't know. A lot of people are doing things outside medicine. They are creatives that are doctors. They are business people that are doctors and etc. I have seen a lawyer that is a doctor. Well, not in my generation though, but I've seen someone who studied law and also studied medicine. So yeah. So I like that people are going outside medicine, and it's something I would advise anyone to do. To go do things outside medicine. It could be things for fun. It could be things to make more money on the side. A lot of people earn more than their medical jobs give them by just doing other things, right? Come out from medical school and you see that a lot of your age mates are, I don't want to use the word way ahead of you, but for a lack of better words, let's use that. Feels way ahead of you. I mean, you are, most people come out of medical school, they're 22, 23, 21. I finished medical school at the age of 23. Yeah, I was just 23, 23 and a few months. So I finished medical school at the age of 23. You do house job for 1 year, and now you're doing NYSC. During your NYSC year, you're like 5 years, 4 years, 6 years, or depending on how old you were when you finished medical school, older than people that you are doing your NYSC with. It's crazy. I know. It looks as if, oh, you are what's the word I'm looking for? Like maybe you wasted time in medical school. You see that some of your age mates are married with kids. Now, I'm not saying that people don't get married in medical school. Obviously, people get married in medical school. People have kids in medical school. Your age grade too. So yeah, but you see that when you come out, maybe when you come out, it like really hits you that, oh, your age mates are married, or they have one kid now or two kids and they have a family of their own, or they're living on their own, they have their first car and stuff like that. They've landed their first job after being in the job market for 4 years earlier than you did, or like 3 years earlier than you did. I just want to remind you that it takes an elephant how many years to carry a child? But it's still bigger than that of a dog or a chicken, that it takes few months to carry a child. So yeah, yeah. You're not on anybody's timeline. You're not late. You're not slow. You are just where you need to be. And remember that you went for a higher degree. You cannot compare an MBBS with a BSc. In fact, I think that medical school should start giving 2 degrees. I know an institution that gives 2 degrees. I have a couple of friends who have BScs and MBBS in the same program, in the same span of 6 to 7 years. They have both a BSc and an MBBS degree. And I think that other universities should follow suit and give both a BSc and an MBBS, especially when you're done with maybe your third year or your fourth year of medical school. You should get a BSc and an MBBS, or they can call it any degree they want, but you should get 2 degrees. I know a lot of people say, oh, but MBBS is already 2 degrees. Is it? Bachelor in medicine and bachelor in surgery. Is it? Okay, maybe. But like you should get an extra degree aside the MBBS when you're done with medical school. So you went for something higher, right? You went for the top of the food chain, if I do say so myself. You went for the top of the food chain and you've gotten it. And I mean, why don't you just enjoy that? Another thing that they don't teach you in medical school is relationships, how to navigate relationships. I don't think they teach that anywhere. But yeah, how to navigate relationship, both romantic relationship, with friendship. You have to read books. You have to invest in knowledge aside medicine. I'm sorry to say, but there are a lot of ill-mannered medical professionals. There are a lot of ill-mannered people everywhere, regardless of their profession, but there are a lot of ill-mannered doctors, male and female respectively, and a lot of people who don't know how to manage their finances simply because they didn't pursue after knowledge, right? You have to read books, you have to go for conferences, seminars that are non-medical. You have to put yourself out there, honestly, like intentionally put yourself out there as a medical practitioner if you want to do every other thing outside medicine. I feel like everybody should aspire to do things outside medicine because for sanity's sake, even if you're not doing it to earn money, do it for fun. Don't be known as, oh, it's only medicine this one knows. I don't think that's a good label, right? I don't think that's a good label. So yeah, guys, that is what I have for us today. I hope this video was very insightful. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you think that medical schools should start giving 2 degrees? And how has life been post medical school, especially if you're watching this and you are a doctor already? How has life been post medical school? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys in my next one. I love you guys as always. Mwah. Bye.
Cannot convince me he's not omnipresent.